Hello, my name is Mahmutovic, and today for my research project, I will be discussing my senior project, which is the Towers of Nature. So with this project, one of the things that I wanted to accomplish was making a high-rise that had mixed occupancies. It is a two-tower residential mixed occupancy high-rise. So on the lower floors, you would have stores and shops, and then in the middle building that is completely store, and then in the middle sections, you would have different layers of residential units. Some are one bedroom, some are two bedrooms, and then on the higher floors, you would have duplex styled penthouses. And then on the very top floor, you would have a restaurant style that is accessible to both visitors that are coming into the building and also residents. So the background for this project is basically I was really interested in nature. One of my goals is to make all the projects that I ever do involve nature. I want to put bushes everywhere. And so from there, I took that fascination with trees and bushes and try to apply it to my research and also my project. And so when I started looking into it, I saw the benefits of putting plants and trees and nature into buildings, and that's where this project came about because I wanted to see how living in a traditional high-rise where not a lot of nature is, and how can we twist that idea into making sure that nature comes into play when we think about those types of high-rises. So when we were doing this project, the methodology that I used first started actually back in August. So what we did was we chose what we wanted, which was a high-rise. I had no idea what to do for a high-rise. It was all I had to discover it right then and there. And so when I was looking at the high-rise, first we started with what requires are there in a high-rise. What exactly is it going to look like? How many floors? Things like that. And then we made the 3D model, and that was last semester. So then when we go into this semester was really about making construction documents, making sure that what we imagined was possible in a realistic way and using techniques to document it and make sure that it's solidified in a realistic manner. And then from there, we can start doing the steps to actually making progress and making this into a real building. So the goal of this building was really to make sure that technology and nature were intertwined into making sure that the human behavior inside these residencies were as better as they could be, because with nature, it's really possible that it improves the mood and the area around it. And so from that, the expected results from adding nature, making this into a high-rise, really intertwining technology into all of those aspects, I expect the atmosphere in these residences to have the capability to soothe people, and instead of making it stressful for the people who live in there, I want it to be more soothing. And I think with nature being implemented and the technology to withhold that nature and to make it last, I think we will see those results. So with this building, I really wanted to have mixed occupancies, like I mentioned previously, where we had the stores on the bottom, residences in the middle, and then on the top, a restaurant. And I feel like for the implications of the present, I feel like that's what it's going to be. Now in the future, I feel like it's going to be the same implications. It's still going to be a residence high-rise, it's still going to have stores at the bottom, and it's still going to be a restaurant on the top. However, the main thing that I wanted to focus on was the impacts from this. I wanted to start a trend where we see a lot more greenery in high rises and even smaller buildings. I feel like if we can see greenery and bushes in bigger buildings, then it'll be really easy for us to see it in smaller buildings, because if it can do it in a high rise, you can definitely do it in a house. So I think, with that, I hope that this impact makes a spark in green design with all over the world, and also in Nashville specifically, which is where my building is located at. So when we are looking at this project, as you can see, the greenery looks like it's going up. It looks like it's traveling up, and then it has that area on the top of the roof. It's spread out throughout the entire project. It's not just in one condensed area. And that was a goal of mine, was to make sure that no matter where you're looking out, no matter where you are, you would see some type of greenery or be near it. And I think that's really important, because the occupants are spread out. They're not just going to be in one specific area. So this is a really good render, because when we see, you enter, and usually it looks like it's in New York City where everything is really congested. But as we know, this isn't in New York City. This is its own little place. This is in Nashville. And we see that the greenery transforms that congestion into more of like an art piece. And it makes you think how cool and how exciting it is to be here, instead of how congested and how closed off it is. I wanted that nature to play into that emotions that were there for this project. So with this project, like I mentioned previously, I wanted nature to be all around, and on the side, I really think I did a good job of this. So you have a little platform in where that curve is, and then on the sides you have that greenery that's there. Also on the tops of the roof, you can see where all of the trees are protruding. It looks like nature is basically taking over, and that's the goal, because we should try to connect ourselves as close as possible to nature instead of pushing it away. And then here's a better version of the front of it. As you can see, it, like the last slide, it looks like it's crawling up. You're constantly seeing it wiggle and go up to the rooftops. As far as greenery is concerned, it looks like it's just trying to take it over, and that was really the goal. As you can see, when you enter, you see that massive piece in the middle where it looks like it's an art piece, and it doesn't look like it's a parking garage. It looks more like a cool, funky thing, and that's something that I wanted to transpire, and I wanted people to have that emotion when they enter their house, because I wanted people to have a fun experience and a relaxing, cool one, instead of a stressful, compact one that most buildings try to push out and see. So one of the things that is also important to this project is, how do we withhold and how do we make sure that the nature is taken care of? Because we can plant something, but it doesn't mean it's going to survive. Or we can plant something, but that doesn't mean we have the right precautions to make it stay. So with that, I was researching ways how to do interior gardens, and one of the things that I stumbled upon was vertical farming. Now, I'm not going to do vertical farming, but we can use the same technology that they use into these indoor gardens, which I'll get to later. So with vertical farmings, they have specialized light bulbs that create the types of sun rays that the sun would. And so therefore, we can use those light bulbs in these indoor gardens to stimulate the same rays that the sun would be giving off anyways, indoors, without having the need for an exterior window. Not only that, but we can have sprinkler systems or watering systems inside of these glass cages for these plants, so that way not only are they getting the right amount of water, but also they are getting the correct quote-unquote sunlight that they need to survive and grow. An example of this would be the bottom right corner. You see how they're encased in glass, but they have that light bulb that keeps them alive. Same thing with the other images. We can see that they emit a purple hue, and they have different types of colorings that will help the plants survive. So in this project, we saw that the outside, it had a lot of nature influences and it had that connection. But one thing that I noticed was that a lot of times we focus on the outside instead of the inside. So one thing that I wanted to do was bring nature inside. And how I did that was making a central indoor garden that most people would see when they are traveling to their apartment residences. So these people, when they get out of their elevator, they are immediately seen into that nature glass place that I mentioned how we would do in the previous slide. And I think that's really, really important because a lot of times when we see hallways are so dingy and dark, and so having this indoor garden, it makes you more relaxed, it makes you more interested, and I think that's really, really important with this type of building because nature is one of the most important things and aspects for this project. So like I said, with nature, one of the things was connection and how do we make people, interact with it. And as you can see, this is almost like a park, but it's in between the high rises. So you get that sense of community. It doesn't look like it's being swallowed up. It looks like it's being enjoyed by others. And so that's really important because we want the mood, we want the setting to be more energetic, more lively. And I feel like having that sense of community that comes with the nature and the areas that we created, I feel like that's even going to further that emotion of relaxation and happiness inside these dwellings. And then here's another example on the very last floor of how we made the sense of community and nature come together and make a relaxing scene. I felt like with this project, it was really, really important to have those two aspects. And I think with all of the things combined, the community that's involved can really enjoy what nature has to offer instead of it being a more dark and dreary place. And then here are my references. Thank you for stopping by and watching my presentation.